Okay, now we're going to do steps 24 through 26, which is your cuff. The cuff is going to be located on the bottom of your sleeve, okay? You should have 4 cuff pieces. You should have 2 pieces that are interfaced and 2 pieces that are not interfaced. And so what I'm going to do is just match up there. And then this one goes to this one. Okay. So we need to determine which cuff goes which. Well, the given for that is going to be your notch, okay? Now, if by chance you get off and your notch is clear over here, do not fret, because you can see that this is a very symmetrical piece. It's a rectangle, okay? So it's gonna be okay on both sides. But what you wanna do is you want to match up your notch piece just to see if this one, yep, this one is going to go to this one right here. Okay, so we're going to put this guy over here. Okay, so we're going to put him away for a little bit. First thing you're going to do is you're going to turn this under a 1/2 inch, and you're going to press this under a 1/2 inch. Now, if you're at your sewing machine and you don't want to press it down for a 1/2 inch, you can go ahead and just pin it down a 1/2 inch. Just like this, all the way across. All the way across. I'm gonna take the cuff that has the interfacing, and I'm gonna flip it right sides. I'm gonna put right sides together of my cuff, this, and I am going to stitch 5/8 from here, starting here up, turn the corner, across. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Sorry. It's this side you want to turn under. Sorry. I knew I stopped and thought about that. It is the side with the notch that you want to turn down. Just one side, the side that does not have the interfacing. Lay these 2 pieces together like this. The instructions are very well written right here if you need it. Pin this together. As many as you need. You're going to start here, and we're going to back stitch 5/8, go down, stop with the needle, turn, stitch, stop, come back up here and finish with a back stitch. We are stitching at 5/8, and I'm going to start right where we turned that under. And I'm going to stop, put the needle down, raise my presser foot, and I want to turn this to see if this is going to match up with this 5/8, and I am off 1 stitch. So I'm going to use the hand wheel, the flywheel, and then I'm going to turn it. And now I'm going to continue. 12 and 6. Sometimes you need to really get this tugged here. Once again, I'm going to stop with the needle down, raise the presser foot, turn it. You can see that I am over, so I need to go back, turn that flywheel just a couple stitches maybe. Let's try 1. And turn. Yep, that's good. And then continue. What the heck did I do? All right. So it should look like this. All right. Take these pins out because we don't need these. Right now we're going to clip our corners. and I'm going to clip it along here, and then I'm going to clip it into that corner and clip out the corner. Okay, so it's a 3-cut corner. I'm going to cut it. Make sure you're not cutting your stitching. And then at this point, we're going to flip it inside out. And I want a nice sharp corner. If you need to get a pencil or your scissors, you can definitely do that, just to give it a nice point. Just don't push it out. Okay. All right. It would be wise at this point to take it to the ironing board and press this. This is my cuff. You can see that I have a built-in seam allowance right here, just like this. Now we're going to attach our cuff to our sleeve. So we will line up. I do have the wrong one. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay. Since this is symmetrical, I'm not really worried about matching up my notches. And I told you that in the beginning, okay? I'm more worried about matching up the beginning. I have my right side to my right side. Put a pin right here, and I am pinning this out of the way. I don't want that one. And then I'm going to go over here, and I want to match this one with my placket to here. And then I just want to walk it around and make sure everything fits inside of here. This should fit nice and snug right inside. Okay, you can see that I missed my notch, which is fine. It's symmetrical. It's not that big of a deal at all. Matching all the top parts. I'm going to go right on over those pleats. Those pleats are right here. If you're finding that it's not matching, go back, look at your pleats, make sure your pleats are the same. Okay, and I'm pulling this cuff down because I don't want to get him inside there. All right, you see this? This all matches from end to end, right side together. I'm going to stitch it 5/8 all the way across. I'm going to miss this one right here. I'm going to miss the cuff part. I am making my husband this shirt for Christmas in New York Yankee fabric, so he can wear it. Okay, I'm coming right down to the end here. You can see I'm just going to stitch right in that well right here. Okay, that's where my 5/8 is. And that's where I want to stitch right there, not catching the other. Okay. All right, almost done. Give it a haircut. Okay, so it should look something like this right here. Take that seam allowance that you just stitched, make sure there's no puckers, make sure that your pleats are laying nice and flat, just laying down. Now we're going to fold this up and we're going to put that seam allowance, here's our seam allowance, inside the cuff. We're going to push him up inside that cuff where he's going to stay. I'm going to take these pins out, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take, I have the seam allowance shoved up inside the cuff, and I'm going to lay that stitching that fold part right here, right on top of that stitching, and I'm gonna pin it down. Right inside. I don't want to see this. This would be wrong. If we had this seam allowance sticking out, this would be wrong. I should not see any seam allowance at all. It should be stuffed up inside of the cuff. Please go around and pin this all face down. All face down. You can see that I am putting my pins like this, and there's a reason, and I'm going to show you here in a minute. Okay, there's a reason, but you see that I have quite a few pins in here, and this is going to move on you, and it's going to want to shift. So make sure that you have, you know, probably about every 2 inches you have a pin, all right? So it should look something like this on the inside. But I am going to top stitch this down on this side. You can see, and I want to get a close up, that this fold line is over the stitching of the cuff. I shouldn't see that at all. And we're going to stitch that down, okay? So I'm going to stitch on this side of the cuff, and I'm going to stitch across down here, and then I'm going to continue with my top stitching all around the cuff, okay? Now, if this gets to be a little hard for you, you might want to start at the bottom. I am going to stitch over my pins. They are on the back side. Just be super careful. It's one of the few times that I do stitch over my pins. Okay, I'm coming up to the end. I'm going to put my needle down. I'm going to raise my presser foot. I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to continue to go. I'm going to go one more stitch. There we go. And I'm going to continue with my top stitching down the edge of my cuff. I'm going to stop with that needle down and turn. Okay, making sure that our cuff is nice and flat. This is a very weird angle because everything is on the inside of the sewing machine, which is usually not how I want you to sew, but there are a few exceptions, especially when you're top stitching. We'll go one more. There we go. And we're going to finish it off with this seam right here. Stitching in the ditch. Okay, and raise it up. And give it lots of haircuts right here. Take out your pins. You can see that your stitching did catch on the inside. You don't see any of my raw edges sticking out from the outside. Everything is shoved all in the inside. And when I put my cuff on, my shirt, oh my God, this is so long. This is like Gracie size. This folds over just like that. You see that? That fold over. And then we will put our button right here. Button and buttonhole. That's exactly how it should look.